This tutorial is on how to do a long tail cast on. You're going to want to hold whatever needle you're using in your right hand, and we're going to be holding our yarn primarily in our left hand. Now you'll want, of course, to have a length of yarn good enough to cast on all your stitches, as well as leaving a tail for weaving in later. And at whatever starting point you choose, you can either do a slip knot, or because it's not actually necessary, you can actually just loop your yarn onto your needle like so. That's all you need. You don't actually need a slip knot. You will just need to hold on to that stitch because it's really just a loop at the moment, with your right index finger kind of just pressing on it and holding on to it. The next step is to orient the yarn in our left hand. We're going to make what looks kind of like a Z pattern. So in order to do that, we're going to, with our bottom 3 fingers of our left hand, grip our yarn, and then with our index finger, we're going to poke down between our 2 threads, and then we're going to also poke down in between the 2 threads with our thumb, like so, so that we are kind of pinching between our 2 threads. Next, we're going to spread our fingers out. And our last step, which is the tricky part, is to turn our palm upwards so that it's facing up. And what you have here is what looks kind of like a Z. You've got this top thread here, is the top of the Z, this bottom thread here, the bottom of the Z, and then of course the slanting part of the Z. We're going to be looping underneath and over these 3 strands on our fingers with our needle tip. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our needle tip and scoop under the bottom of the Z. Then after that, we're going to loop around the top of the Z. And then our third step is going to be a little more fiddly, where we're going to pull this thread back through where we looped. So I will show you how to do that. So we're going to go underneath this, and it's helpful to keep your left hand completely stationary. Just move your needle tip. So we're going to go underneath, up along our thumb to make a loop. We're then going to loop around the top of our Z on our index finger. And you see when we have it like that, it makes kind of a crisscross on our needle here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to loop this top of the Z back down through the hole in the loop we've made with the bottom of the Z. So I like to put my needle tip against the top of my thumb, drag it down along my thumb and out the bottom, and our new stitch has popped up right here. So I'll back it off and do it again. We're going to go under the bottom of the Z, over the top of the Z, and then we're going to touch the tip of our needle to the top of our thumb, drag down, that pulls the loop from the top of the Z under the bottom of the Z, and then I like to hold that stitch with my index finger on my left hand. And to finish the stitch, we're just going to let our thumb, this loop on our thumb, pop off, and then you can just pull it tight. Now when you're starting out, it might be easiest to just reset your hand every time. Grab it with your 3 bottom fingers, with your index finger and your thumb, go in between the 2 threads, spread your fingers, turn your palm upwards so that you've got that nice Z again. And you can see now we've got 2 stitches. Now we've got this first one secured, and we're ready to do our next one. We'll go underneath the bottom of the Z, over the top of the Z, touch it to the tip of our thumb, bring it down so that it pops up here, hold on to that with our finger, let go of this loop on our thumb, and then if you just hook your thumb around this thread here and pull, that will cinch it down. And then if you just bring your thumb back to your palm up position, you're back to your Z. That might take some practice getting used to, but then you're ready to do your next stitch. Under, over and around, back down through, let go, pull tight. Reset to your Z, under, over, back down through, and off, and pull tight. Now, when I say pull tight, you're going to want to still be able to slide your stitches. If you use a little bit of force, you're not going to want them so loose that if you kind of wiggle your needle, they're going to come slipping right off. And you're not going to want them so tight that you really have to shove to move them up and down the needle. That's going to make the first row of your knitting quite difficult. So again, we've got our Z, under, over, back down through, and off. And you will just repeat this until you have your stitches you want, the number that you need for your project, and you're good to start your next row.